you can have some fun. And I think I would encourage people, especially in the marketing industry, in our industry, to be more creative, think outside of their underwear.
Well, okay. Kirby, because the players are going to play, and the haters are going to hate. Baby, I'm just going to shake. I shake it off. I shake it off as we start off episode number 144 of the Promo Upfront podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, let's call him, I've got so many things here. Let's call him the Sergeant of the Swifties, the one and only Kirby Hassman. Kirby, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well because I didn't do that to myself. I'm actually doing really well, man. Things are going great. Just trying to keep all the plates spinning. And to be totally honest, we've been really busy. And this is one of the highlights of my week. I always enjoy talking to you. And despite the fact that we're friends, this is the time we get to chat. And so whenever I get to do this, it's really fun. So I'm doing well, buddy. How about you?
I'm doing great. You know, I have fully recovered, I believe, from the absolute ass kicking I got on social media for suggesting that I was wrong for not liking Taylor Swift. If anybody had really read the post, I was actually mocking myself for having an unrealistic and unwarranted dislike of Taylor Swift. But I've learned my lesson that we don't tackle that topic ever. Yeah. But you know what's interesting, Kirby? It got me to thinking, and it got me to thinking that, you know, she writes a lot of songs. She's a heck of a songwriter, extraordinarily gifted. And I was wondering how many she writes with a pencil. Because, you know, Kirby, for over 300 years, there's been one writing instrument that's really stood the test of time. In fact, it's such an amazing part of human history. It has its own day. Of course, I'm talking about the venerable pencil. And International Pencil Day was just last week on March 30th.
Nice.
And to celebrate, our good friends over at Shepenko are running a fabulous special through the month of April on one of their most popular pencils, shockingly called the International Pencil. Very fitting, right?
Right.
They have an amazingly aggressive special pricing and free ground shipping on this pencil. And here's the details, kids. Orders are shipped unsharpened and packed 500 a box. One color imprint is included. All orders must be for immediate shipment. Why would you delay giving someone the joy of pencils anyway?
Right.
All orders must be marked International Pencil Day, and all orders must be received by April 28th, 2023. Now, Kirby, I know you love a good supplier special like this, especially that's one, you know, that to me, and I say this not jokingly, I do love pencils. I've always loved pencils, and I love the fact because to me they represent creativity. They translate what's up here in your brain onto paper, making an idea real.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And at the end of the day, I talk a lot about the idea of the brain dump, right? Where it's like I've said a bunch of times that your brain's a great place to come up with ideas. It's a terrible place to store them. And when I find that, it's the venerable pencil that I go to, so I can just get things out of my head. Helps me organize, helps me think more creatively. And so, yes, the pencil.
Awesome. Kirby couldn't agree more. The offer is good for the contiguous 48 states only and will be shipped via Shepenko's choice of carrier. Again, it's free, so what do you care how they're going to ship it? Want to learn more? Of course you. Head over to the newly redesigned Shepenko.com and click Distributor Tools. And underneath that, you're going to see today's specials. Or if you just want to email our good friend Alex Maltz, you can do that, alex@shepenko.com. All the deals are right there. But time is of the essence. It does end April 28th of 2023. So help your client celebrate International Pencil Day with this phenomenal writing instrument and equally phenomenal deal. Okay, Kirby, I have the honor of having the promo upfront section today. I want to thank you for having the courage to broadcast with me. I had mentioned earlier that I'd learned my lesson not to take on Taylor Swift. It really wasn't a shot at her. She's an immensely talented human.
I was surprised you took it down.
Well,
I
the
got
second you're
tired of
called
it.
a the second you're called a misogynist and a sexist, I think that was time to do it.
Yeah.
But a lot of Swifties aren't happy with Taylor Swift's tour merch, Kirby. I
Oh,
did
okay.
some research. That's right. They're more mad at her than some people were mad at me.
Okay.
They're mad because they are buying these t-shirts and sweatshirts and things like that, which we've all gone to concerts and bought the shirt, right?
Sure. Sure.
It's the original Pixar. It didn't happen. You know, in high school, you
Right.
didn't go to the concert unless you came the next day with the t-shirt on, right?
Right. Yeah.
The problem people are having, it's not holding up in the wash. People have noticed quote unquote major changes in the pieces after a spin in the washing machine, uh, big time fading, even on cold. So, my question to you is, why the hell would anyone be surprised? Tour merchandise, band merchandise at the shows have traditionally been the lowest of quality at the highest of price. Now, that's not always the case, but that is the usual, right?
Yeah.
I remember going to an Elton John concert in 1985. So I was a sophomore in high school. I got the t-shirt. I wore it the next day and my nipples were showing the entire day because the t-shirt was so thin, Kirby. So this is something I've always thought that there's always issues with tour
Sure.
merchandise. Kirby, should anybody be surprised with this at all?
No. And I think it's interesting that actually think there's a style around old t-shirts from concerts because they fade, right? And it's actually something that we almost aspire to. And now I think you see people trying to recreate that look, which was created by merch that did
Washing.
fade. Now,
Yep.
so yeah, buyer beware. I think that's true, certainly of merch you're going to get at a concert. Now, I will say it also is a lesson, though, right? Especially once you become the brand that a Taylor Swift is, that regardless of whether or not it is a reasonable expectation or not, once your name is on it,
It's yours.
it's yours. And we talk about this. You and I talk about this with other brands as well. Like that's the reason not to do cheap, shitty swag. It's because
Mhm.
it does represent your brand. And I think to me, that's really the lesson there that all of a sudden that Taylor Swift, unfortunately, maybe it's an unrealistic expectation, but because her name is on it and because people love and adore her so much, they believe that it's
Right.
got to be quality. Well, whether or not that's, fair
Yeah.
doesn't matter, but that's the expectation. And so to me, that's the lesson.
No, I couldn't agree more. And here's the thing. Artists don't make money from selling albums anymore or digital downloads. They don't.
Mhm.
You want to support any sort of artist, you have to go see them in person, or you have to buy physical albums either online, or you have to buy merchandise from them online or at a show. So I understand that this is a giant income stream
It is.
for artists and they need to maximize those profits. I also think that, there is an expectation when you pay $60 for a t-shirt, which is obscene on any level,
Yep.
that there should be some expectation that it's going to last for at least a year or so before it really starts going to hell. My sense is that the Swifties who are upset with this, it will get to Taylor Swift. She is a smart enough businesswoman. I believe she would make changes, most likely even exchange some merchandise for the people who feel like they got poor quality. So again, don't yell at me. I'm not yelling at Taylor Swift here. I'm
Yeah.
really not. I
So
just don't
so
want to
real
get
quick
yelled
though,
at
it's
again.
fascinating just between the challenge with tickets and some of this stuff.
Mhm.
Again, I think it goes back to the expectation that people have. But man, this concert now, I will say that so I've heard the issue with getting tickets. Now you've
Yep.
told me the issue with merch, and so those are challenges. I will say I have heard that she has put on like
I,
it's a Bruce Springsteen-esque length of show, and I always
well,
admire that.
I would not compare her to that spare,
Well,
but
but
what I would say
the
is, no,
length
I'm
of
kidding. I
concert,
know.
yeah,
I know. I'm kidding. No, I've heard the same thing. She is doing, I believe, 33 songs, which is ridiculous. Most artists will stop at about 22, 24. It's about a 3.5 hour long show. So while tickets are very expensive, it seems like everybody's walking out of there feeling like they absolutely got their money's worth, if not a bargain.
yeah,
So
cool.
I think that is it's a different time. I remember cheap concert tickets. They don't really exist anymore.
Right.
So
Yeah, for sure.
if you want to go see your favorite artist, whether it's Bruce Springsteen or Taylor Swift, you might want to start saving up your scratch in a way to make more money, Kirby. Hey, distributors, is your marketing working? Hell, if you can't answer that question with an immediate hell yeah, then you need to reach out to Promo Pulse. They can help you consistently amplify your sales through stunningly beautiful outbound marketing that's so easy to use. You customize it, you set it, and you forget it. 5 minutes. That's right. Learn more at promopulse.io/amp. Make a little bit more money, save a little bit more money so you can get your $900 sweatshirt from Taylor Swift. Kirby, do you have a topic for us today?
Yeah, I'm nervous to wade into this one, but it feels like it's topical. So,
I have a hope for this one. I'm
okay,
hoping it's what I think it is.
Bud Light it's not that, huh?
It's
S-
not Bud. That's okay. I would like to talk about Bud Light.
yeah, so Bud Light has changed their packaging for a brief period. They've partnered with a trans influencer, and it's prompted a lot of right-wing backlash. Essentially, they changed their packaging to have a rainbow on it, and they partnered with an influencer to put it out there. And the backlash to this change has been loud and swift from those the likes of Kid Rock, who apparently launched it up and shot a case of it with a shotgun or an AR-15 or something.
Perfectly normal, perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
I'm joking, of course.
Yeah. So I don't know that I want to wade into that, except that, obviously Bud Light took a stance that was, pro inclusion. And I think we see more and more brands taking stances like this, right?
Yeah.
So I was curious to know, from a brand perspective, is the juice worth the squeeze on some of these campaigns? Do you think that it makes sense for Bud Light and specifically, and then does it make sense for other brands to do the same?
Let me go ahead and sign the documentation that my career is over, and then I'll answer your question. Okay. So here's what I think about it. I'd like to see brands, whether it's Budweiser, Bank of America, whatever, pick your company, a Nike, doesn't matter. If you're going to embrace pride, and that's the alternative lifestyles, I'm sure I'm saying something wrong, I don't mean to, but LGBTQ, all that plus, if you're going to embrace that, then do it all year long. I get very weary of companies embracing that for a month. But then there's also value to them embracing it for a month. So honestly, it's a tough one. Yeah. It's a really tough one. I think more than anything, what you have to do is align it with your brand and make it part of your brand. So you can amplify. I think so. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking off the top of my head.
I blindsided you with this, so
that's okay. So what I think is, if you should either be part of that community all year long, but it's okay to amplify leading up to June, which is Pride Month. I think that's perfectly fine. I think what I don't like is the companies that they're very against any sort of LGBTQ plus rights. All of a sudden they have a rainbow on their logo, and all of a sudden they're doing stuff like that.
It's not authentic.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about Bud Light. I assume that, look, they just want people to buy their beer. They couldn't care if they were green, purple, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I think a backlash against it, where Kid Rock is, who, let's be honest, I'm not a huge Kid Rock fan anyway. But that's just silly. They want, it's business's a goal and objective to grow their audience and the revenue, and you do that by appealing to different sub-target audiences within your overall audience. So from that perspective, I don't blame them. I don't think I really answered your question. I rambled though, which
no, you did great.
Actually,
so I think it's interesting about this. So number one, I think if you're going to do something like this, you just got to know your audience. I think the piece that if Bud Light got it wrong, and I actually don't necessarily think they
think they got it wrong,
is that, understanding who the target market is of people who drink Bud Light, which is a bat urine tasting beer. Now, but it's also knowing your upside. And you kind of alluded to it, trying to get
Yeah.
into other submarkets. The thing that's fascinating is whenever there is a controversial campaign like this, people lose their mind for a quick minute
Yeah.
and then they
forget
move on
about
with
it.
their life. I mean, I
Yep.
remember not very long ago that no one was ever going to buy Nike again because of a controversial campaign with Colin Kaepernick. And
Right.
what it did was expand their market into, you know, different marketplaces and made them more credible.
Right.
And most of the time that outrage moves on. So
Yeah.
I kind of am interested in it. I'm fascinated
Yeah.
by the outrage. And I think that, and I actually have given this a little bit of thought. And I think my one take is just because you're for one thing doesn't mean you're against another. And that is
Correct.
something I think that we as a culture are really struggling with. That
Yeah.
the idea that, hey, if we are shining a light and giving, the pride community, you know, ups and saying, hey,
Yeah.
shout out to them, it doesn't mean you're anti everything else. And I think that's
No,
the
it's a
piece we seem to, by the way, both sides do this. So this is
disconnect.
not it's just like
Oh, yeah.
you're allowed to lift other people up regardless of your beliefs. And so that's the part that is frustrating. And I think I found myself getting frustrated with the frustration. And then I
Yeah.
realized that hate that people are pushing out is
Yeah.
that's what they're trying to do. And so I guess I don't mind, Bud Light changing their can.
Yeah.
And
It's
the
fine.
irony behind the
It's
people who say you're not allowed to get upset about anything, getting upset about the packaging on a beer can is not lost on me. So anyway, that's my
yeah. No, I agree. And I think you made a great point. Just because you're for one thing doesn't mean you're against another. And we do live in that society. We also live in a society where everybody has access to the highest technology. They have reach to everybody and anybody. And we didn't, unfortunately, when you give everybody the chance to give you an opinion, they will.
yeah. Sure
So,
will.
to me, Bud Light changing their can, and I haven't seen the can, but it's no different than them changing their can to look like a blue football during
Right.
football season.
Yeah.
Or Michelob Ultra has a golf ball can right now. So to me, it's no different. You're appealing to an audience. But here's the thing, too, from a brand perspective. You have to be a little careful here. And what I mean by careful is understand that it's most likely right to recognize the LGBTQ plus community during Pride Month. I think that's a very important thing. Understand that you may alienate part of your audience, and that's okay. That's okay. I think, it's not what you sell, it's what you stand for. And if you think you're for everybody, you're really for nobody. If everybody thinks your product is the best and awesome, and you guys, man, you got a problem. That's a bigger problem than 20% of your target audience who's never going to buy from you because they think it's bat urine, or whatever. So I think it's a tough thing for companies. They're in a tough position because if they don't do something, they might be called out for, well, they're ignoring us.
Yeah. Right.
And if they do something, then they're called out. Well, why are you making them so special?
Yeah.
You can't win. So you just kind of have to pick your lane as a company and an organization and go with it and feel good about it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
All
Appreciate
right.
you letting me spring
So
that on you.
no, I appreciate it. This will be the last Promo Upfront podcast. I'm
I
kidding.
doubt it.
All right, Kirby. Twitter. Our pal Elon Musk, he has changed the iconic bird logo to the Doge of Dogecoin currency. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, Dogecoin is a low rent cyber or a cryptocurrency that Elon Musk has had quite a bit of interest in. He's anytime he's spoken about it, it's gone up. If he ignores it, it goes down. It usually trades under about $1 a share or a buck of Dogecoin.
Whatever.
But anyway, so but what he's did, he owns Twitter now. So he's taken that blue bird and now he's put the Doge up there. And most people think, and it's just a picture of a dog, basically. That's what the Doge stands for. It's only on the computer. So if you go Twitter on your laptop or something like that, you'll see it. It's only and after you change it, the value went up 20% on Dogecoin immediately. And most people think it's because he is being sued by the government for racketeering when it comes to manipulating the price of Dogecoin. And his attorneys filed a bunch of briefs to dismiss said case. And as a joke, it seems like Elon Musk put that up on Twitter. We could talk about all that. I just want to talk about the brand part of it. I almost think Elon Musk is hell bent on killing Twitter.
Yeah, he has done it. It is fascinating because he is either, and people have said this before about him, where he's either, the evil villain, genius,
Yeah.
or he really is just a genius and he's 7 steps ahead and we aren't seeing where he's going.
Yeah.
And I don't know which, but I will say that from
Maybe
a
he's
user,
both.
yeah, maybe, but from a user perspective, Twitter has become less and less interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I will say that he seems like he's running it like a vindictive toddler on many days. Now,
Yeah.
the idea that you then separately, just this thing that if you are an entrepreneur and take like Musk and Twitter out of the equation, the idea that you could leverage one brand to build another, I think is really smart, right? Like
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk is the king of that, where he's
Sure.
like, okay, I'm going to do this, but then I'm going to buy into Empathy Wines and I'm going to promote Empathy Wines and it's going to help me. I love that. That makes total sense. So on the one side, I think it's really interesting and could make a ton of sense. But if he's doing it just to thumb his nose at the government, I think it's douchey. So,
Yeah.
I don't understand at all what
No.
Musk is doing.
He's clearly brilliant. I don't think anybody would argue that. I just wish he'd keep his mouth shut, and I wish he'd focus on running his companies. And when I say running his companies, I mean not running them into the ground, which seems like he's doing with Twitter. I mean, Twitter is a disaster.
Yeah.
It was other than LinkedIn, it was my least favorite platform. But and now it's even worse. I have a new account because I got hacked, so I was very specific in who I'm following. But there are still things that are political that pop up in my feed that I'm absolutely not following.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And they pop up in my feed.
Yeah.
And now it seems like if you want to really curate your own feed, the only way you can do that is to spend the $8 a month or whatever it is for a verified account, or else you're going to be subject to all these other things, which I actually have no real issue with that. It's his platform. He can do with it what he wants, and he has to find a way to monetize it. But
it's my time and attention, and I can do what I want with that too, which means I'm spending a lot less time on Twitter.
Oh, absolutely. No, I 100%.
Yeah.
I barely go on Twitter. I just make sure I'm not hacked anymore. That's all I go on for.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Kirby.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, let's talk about my underwear.
I've been wanting to talk about your underwear for weeks, so it's about time.
I knew it. So a couple months ago, and it's probably been a year ago at this point, my wife actually signed up for a subscription for underwear for me from Shinesty. And I will tell you, amazing, right? I don't like wearing any other underwear. It's really good. Why am I bringing this up? Other than to make you uncomfortable and to see your face just like that. It's amazing. Well, I got an email from them, and that's obviously why I'm on their list, is they did a promotion where they ran a special, and they announced in their email that they were in retail all of a sudden, because they were all direct to consumer. And they did a consumer, they said they're in retail. You can get them at all Apple stores. Okay. Exactly. And so I read on because I'm curious. They said, just go and log into the computer and use the code Apple69LOL, and you'll be able to order them. And
April Fool's joke, right?
No, this was like a month ago. So it was and so long story short, they are actually partnering with a retail brand where they're getting in. But the concept behind this, there are so few sales emails that I read. This was one that not only did I read, but my wife actually pointed it out to me and said, hey, look at this. So I guess my question to you, I just thought it was funny. And the idea, and by the way, in the email, they said, oh, by the way, don't mention this to the staff because Apple doesn't know that they're partnering with this on this. This concept I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
A, is it dangerous and irresponsible? Is it creative? What say you, Bill?
Oh, I think it's creative. I think I would assume they've had some talks with Apple that they would mention, the name, maybe not. So I mean, it's
I don't
dangerous on
know.
that level. You
Yeah.
might it smell
Might
if
get
you did, it
sued.
smells like a very quick cease and desist letters being sent by Apple attorneys.
Yeah.
No, I think and again, what we talked about earlier, that everybody's got a voice now.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. It's also a tough thing. And
Right.
from a marketing perspective, it's challenging because everybody's got a voice. How do you get through that noise, that clutter? And something like that, where you're thinking way differently
Mhm.
about how we go to market, and straddling that line of tongue in cheek versus poor taste,
Yeah.
not an easy one to do, and it sounds like they did it very well.
Oh,
I
to
I
me,
so
to me,
Yeah, well,
that's the
look, you're
challenge,
but
right?
you're the target audience.
Yep.
There going to be some people who are offended by that? 1,000%. But again, you can't run a successful business organization being everything to everyone.
Yeah.
I love Amazon. I guarantee you there's a good contingent of people that can't stand them and would never buy from them. That's healthy, because what does Max Baer say? Hug your haters. You've got to listen to the people who are criticizing you
Yeah.
so that you become better.
Yeah.
I say this in my talks. You've heard me say this a million
Yep.
times. You've got to ask your clients, how am I doing? How are we doing? How was this? And they're going to tell you fine, because people are nice and they don't want to hurt your feelings, or it's just uncomfortable to give you honest criticism.
Right.
And that's where you say something like, I'm sure, or I'm glad you're happy with everything that we're doing, but there's got to be something we can do better. And that's when they give you honest criticism. That's where you do become better. That's where you create loyalty. So while Shinesty may have alienated a couple people, so what?
Yeah. I thought
That's fine. I bet they know their target audience better than we ever could imagine us thinking they know their target
yeah.
audience.
Well, and again, I think that the sort of the lesson here is that sometimes it does have, depending on the brand. And I think we talked about this last
Yeah.
week, like have some fun when you know your audience, and like you can have some fun. And I think I would encourage people, especially in the marketing industry, in our industry, to be more creative, think outside of
Absolutely.
their underwear.
Well, okay. Wow. Um, I got to shake that off, Kirby, and I got to talk about I got to shake it off, because the haters are going to hate, 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 hate. I am so honored that our sponsor this week is Shapenko. With International Pencil Day being March 30th, they're running one hell of a special on their international pencil. You can go to shapenko.com to see all the details. Go into their newly redesigned website under distributor tools, today's specials, or you can email Alex Moltz at alex@shapenko.com. But this special only runs through April 28th of 2023. So you better sharpen your pencils and head over there right now. And Kirby, I think I need to go take a shower.
I don't blame you.